of Jolt! It's me, Evan, and Brandon just sat down. Hi, Brandon.
Hey, what up, guys? Hey.
Really? The arrow again?
Hey. Time. History.
Oh.
Evan, so today we are talking about rules. Everyone's favorite subject. Talking about rules.
Yeah, rules are great.
You wanna know my favorite rule here at Jolt?
What's your favorite rule?
It's rule number 1. Don't die.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork for me. You guys just stop doing it.
Yeah, no dying. Jolt's a...
Evan, do you know anyone that is like all about rules? Like that person that like always tries to follow all the rules?
Oh, yeah.
Shots fired. I don't know, is that shots fired? I don't think so. Is it? I don't know.
I think it's more just shaped, bro.
I don't know these things.
Yep, I do because I'm young.
It's because I was born back here.
But I mean, like, for the most part, like, rules are good. They keep us safe, right?
Yeah, and us old people apparently like rules. But what about these rules? Alright, so we're gonna do a little game. I got some stupid laws. You have to decide if they're true or false. Play along at home or at Joel if you're a person. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Number 1.
Alright.
Since the year 1173, like when I was born, it's illegal to die.
False?
It's real.
What?
It's
But
illegal.
what happens if you, like, if you have a heart attack and, like, you're technically dead? Like, you go to jail?
Alright, here we go. Second one. Stupid law. In certain cities, lollipops are banned.
Wait, in cities?
Yeah, certain cities, you can't have a lollipop.
It's true.
That is true, actually. How stupid is that? All right, next one. There is a town in Texas where it is illegal to idle your car in your own driveway. You know, like where your car's on, but you're not driving anywhere? Can't do that in your own driveway.
That's gotta be false. Like, you have to be able to do that.
True.
What? But what happens if, like, I'm just, you know, finishing up my music, you know?
All right, next one. Ready?
Okay.
It is illegal to have a bathtub in a private home in Ohio.
I think it's true. Like, it's just, because that's just a weird rule, and, like, that's just Ohio for you.
Ohio. It's true.
It is?
It's true.
Ah,
Yeah.
man, Ohio,
All right, last one. No person may carry a fish into a bar. Can't take a fish. You know that joke with the guy that carries a fish into the bar?
No, that's gotta be false.
That's real. That's a law.
What?
It's a real law.
How does that, what was the context that they had to make that a law? It was just like too many people just bringing in their goldfish? It's just like, yeah, he'll take...
You've obviously never met my cousin.
Oh.
All right, so should we follow all of those rules?
I mean, some of those were pretty stupid, but yeah, we should follow the rules. Except for the one with idling your car. Like, you can't stop at jams, man.
So I keep a couple mugs here in my office because, I mean, well, coffee is life. And one time I put my mug back before I rinsed it out, and then I went to use it about a week later and I grabbed it, and even though the outside looked clean, the inside was filthy. I mean, there's like mold growing. It was so disgusting. It was so gross. And it actually reminded me of a story that Jesus told. One day, one of the religious leaders, these Pharisees, asked Jesus to come over to eat. So Jesus goes over and he doesn't do all the ceremonial cleaning things that they were supposed to do. Jesus just starts eating. And this religious leader, this Pharisee, is like, dude, what are you doing? You have to follow these rules, these certain ways to clean yourself before you eat. So in Luke chapter 11, Jesus says this, "You Pharisees are so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside you are filthy, full of greed and wickedness. Fools! Didn't God make the inside as well as the outside? So clean the inside by giving gifts to the poor, and you will be clean all over." And it makes me wonder, what if rules aren't as important as we think they are? I mean, rules are good. Rules are important. Also, in this section of the Bible, Jesus talks about following rules are good. But what if there's things that are more important? And what happens when those things that are more important than rules mean we have to break a rule? Should we be worried about the outside of the cup or the inside? Should we be worried about looking good by following rules? Or be worried about what's on the inside?
But I've always been taught to follow the rules. My parents say to follow the rules. My teachers say to follow the rules, even though I wouldn't always listen. My boss? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, like, and for the most part, that's really good. Like, we should follow those rules. Like, they're there for a reason. I mean, like, rule number 2 at Jolt, your mom's probably right. Like, follow the rules that she gives you, even when you're here. Like, so I mean, for the most part, rules are good.
But Jesus didn't follow the rules.
Not always.
Are we supposed to follow the rules?
Well, yeah, not always.
What? Okay, I'm so confused. What?
Yeah, I think Jesus was making a point that there's things that are more important than rules.
Like what?
Like loving people, like fighting injustice.
Oh.
Rules. Important, but there's things that are more important. You know, let's go back to that story. Let's see what Jesus says next. What sorrow awaits you, Pharisees, for you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore justice and the love of God. You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. The Pharisees knew all the rules, and Jesus says, yeah, you should follow the rules. You should tithe, but don't neglect the more important things. So what are the more important things? Well, Jesus says the love of God and fighting injustice. All the things that are wrong with this world, Jesus says we should be fighting those things. That is more important than following a rule. The Pharisees, they knew every single rule. In fact, they made extra rules just to make sure that they wouldn't break any rules. They were all about rules. And Jesus says they're fools because they weren't doing the more important things. Later in this same story, he says, you crush people with religious rules, but you do not lift a finger to help their burden. Jesus calls us to justice, not rules. And if a rule is hurting someone, break that rule. This part is so incredibly important, okay? Don't break a rule without talking to a trusted adult first. Talk it over with someone. But if there's a bad rule, then it's a bad rule. You shouldn't follow it. There are things that are more important, like helping people and loving God. So I think really our question today isn't about rules and are they good or bad, because rules are good. But more the question should be, how am I doing at fighting injustice? I've got some questions I'm going to read. I want you to think about them as I read them. Have I taken something that wasn't mine? Have I taken advantage of someone else? Have I participated in something that hurt someone else? Have I been showing kindness to children? Have I cared well for old people? Have I allowed something cruel or something that was discrimination? Have I created a safe place for people with disabilities? Have I ever fought for someone who didn't have a voice? God wants us to fight for justice because God wants us to help people. It's a part of loving God is helping people. So this week, I think we can do that in 2 ways. We can say justice by standing up for people, and then we can do justice by actively doing something to help people. Say justice, do justice. Way more important than following rules. Say justice, do justice.
So we're supposed to follow the rules, but then also not follow the rules? When do I know that it's okay to break the rules?
Yeah, so, Jesus is saying it's more important that we love people and that we fight injustice. So sometimes it's okay to break a rule if it's going to be a more loving thing to do, or if we're fighting an injustice.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So, but how do I know when a rule is breaking an injustice?
Yeah, that's where it gets really, really tricky. And that's where I think it's really important to try and not figure it out alone, but to have people that you trust that you can talk with about it first.
Okay, so people like my parents.
That's great, yeah.
Or
Like
my leaders.
parents. Yeah, like your leaders at church, having good friends, maybe even a teacher where you can go to and say, I think that breaking this rule is actually a more loving thing to do, or I'm actually going to help somebody. It's pretty rare. Like, we shouldn't be breaking rules all the time. But there are times where, there's something more important than following a rule, like helping someone.
Okay, so it's like you didn't get to class on time because you were helping someone who dropped all their books.
Yeah, absolutely. So you broke a rule of being late, but you did the more loving thing by helping someone. That's a great example.
Oh, okay. All right, I think I'm starting to get it, Brandon.
Awesome.
That's the big idea. Jesus calls us to do justice.
That's right. Jesus calls us, you, me, you, all of us, to do justice. And if there's a rule in the way of that, talk to some trusted people, maybe go around it. More important is that we love people and we fight injustice.
We fight justice. We're like superheroes.
See you next week.
All right, bye, guys.